Okay. So a few years back, I got my electrical license and I made some videos about it. And over the last year, I guess 6 months really, I started my own electrical service company. It's just me, and so far so good. So this video is kind of like a, it's not really a how-to because I'm still learning so much. There's like a ton of stuff that I don't know, but how to get started. So it's not going to have a bunch of edits and stuff, so you're just going to have to bear with me. I'm not a YouTuber per se, but my video on how to pass the license exam did pretty good. It seems like it helped a lot of people, so maybe this will help you if you're trying to figure out if it's right for you to start your own electrical company. You know, you've got your license, you've got your business license, and kind of what you need. So I'll just start from the beginning, and yeah, I hope this helps. So number one, you have to have your electrical license. That's a no-brainer. Number two, you've got to have your business license in the state of Georgia, otherwise you can't pull permits. So I got those two things. Gave my employer a 2 weeks notice. If you're working for somebody now, you know, it's, if you're really going to be a good like self-starter, like if you can actually do this, it's very likely that the person you're working for now is not going to want to let you go. And so you just have to really think long and hard about this, because most likely what will happen, and this happened to me 2 or 3 times, I went to the guy I was working for. I said, hey, I think I'm ready. I got my license. I think I'm ready to step away. You know, I've talked to you in the past about starting my own business and everything. And he said, well, I'll give you more money. And the first time it worked. And the second time it worked. But the third time it didn't. And so I think what you should probably prepare for is some sort of offer. Because if you're ready to start your own business and you're going to be successful, most likely the person you're working for now doesn't want to lose you. Now, if you want to start your own business because you just hate working for the guy now and you want to work for yourself and that's just a bad attitude, and it's not going to work. Because when you're working for yourself, essentially you're doing a couple different things, but one of the main things that I realized is, like, and somebody told me this, you go from having one boss to having hundreds, because essentially every customer is your boss. You've got to make sure that the customers are happy. You've got to treat them really, really well, and you've got to serve them just like you were serving your boss. So, you know, if you want to just be independent and work for yourself and have no boss, well, there's just not, you know, maybe farming, I don't know, but not starting an electrical company, because essentially, you know, you're having to be a servant to each and every customer. Otherwise, nobody's going to hire you. If you don't show up on time, if you don't write out good, clear estimates, if you don't, you know, take your shoes off or put shoe covers on in homes that want it, stuff like that, you're not going to get return business, and you're not going to stay in business. So make sure you kind of test your motives before you go off and start your own business. That's the number one thing, because if you have the right motive, it's gonna work. For me, a lot of my motivation came from having a child and 3 boys. A wife and 3 boys. The whole thing with that is like somebody said the other day, you know, the only reason Colton's working so hard is because he has to. The only reason Colton's business is working is because he has to make it work. And, you know, he kind of meant it as an insult, but the truth is, he ain't lying. If you don't have any real, like, reason to need to make money, a lot of times for men, you just don't do it. Now, you can be one of these guys who's, like, devoted to money and just loves money, and maybe you could make it work in that case. But if it was me, I would advise against being devoted to money. Personally, as a Christian, my advice is to devote yourself first and foremost to God. And when you do, everything else falls in place. So back to what we were saying. Make sure your motivation is right. If you're doing it for your family, you're doing it for your, to provide for your family or whatever, I have a really good feeling that it's going to last. If you're just doing it to try to get rich quick, it's not going to work. Number two, you need to make sure you have enough money in the bank. Before I even got started, or even like it was a hard thing, I paid off all my debt. So I paid off my truck, and that was really my biggest debt. And I just made sure we didn't have any debt. I made sure that the family had some emergency savings, about 3 months. And then I made sure that I had a pretty significant amount of money set aside for the business savings, about 3 months of what I thought would be operations costs and materials. Personally, I'm not a big big credit card guy. I have them for like certain purchases. You got to buy something for a generator, or you got to buy some part from a website that seems kind of shady. Yeah, I'm using my credit card there, and that's why I keep them. But as far as like materials in general, it's much better to have, a balance in your account that you're just pulling from with the debit card. And then that way you actually see what you're making, and you're not up $100,000. And at the end of the month, when the credit card bills due, you just lost $20,000 of what you thought was profit. So my personal opinion is just keep a few $1,000s in your account. For service electrical work, you're probably never going to have a job more than $5,000. So I would say minimum keep $5,000 in your account. Now, if you're doing certain service work, sure, you'll be way over that. If you're doing commercial, you're going to be way, way over that. For what I do, it's just in and out stops, and so 5,000 is sufficient. Okay, so make sure your motivation is right. Make sure you've got some cash. The third thing is, I would say make sure that you have good scheduling software. I use Housecall Pro. It's pretty good. It's expensive. Before that, I was using QuickBooks scheduling with the guy that I was working for. It worked really, really well as an employee, but then whenever I got on the back end of it and I had to go through like the IT department and get help and all this and that, it was terrible, ripping my hair out of my head, which is already going. So yeah, I would say Housecall Pro is pretty good. It is expensive, but there's a bunch of companies out there. ServiceTitan's one. QuickBooks has the one. If you're tech savvy, then maybe QuickBooks would probably be pretty good. And I'm not talking about the accounting stuff. I'm talking about the invoicing software, estimate software. So that make sure you have a good work vehicle, and then honestly, make sure it's paid off. I mean, there's guys out there that'll say just buy the nicest thing. Like, it doesn't matter exactly how nice your truck is, I've noticed, but it just needs to be clean. So like, if you've got a 1980 pickup, but it's like really clean and it's well maintained, that's fine. The thing that I noticed that is just a bad thing to have is like when you've got a truck that's just filthy. You pull up to a job and your truck is filthy. I mean, nobody wants to see that. They see that and they think, well, that's a reflection of the kind of work that he's going to do. You need to get an insurance policy on yourself. You obviously need life insurance, but you need health insurance, and then you need to get the business insurance, liability at minimum. So do those things. And then finally, and I think probably the most important thing, is you need work. For me, I just kind of swung out there. I didn't know what I was going to do. I signed up for Angie's List, which is Home Advisor or whatever, and it's like a pay-per lead thing. It's decent, I get like 1 out of 4 jobs. I signed up for Thumbtack. Now, Thumbtack was kind of a big hit for me. The reason being is, like, as a handyman, I'm not a handyman, but I've heard handymen tell me that like Thumbtack is saturated, and I believe it. For electrical work, the thing is, like, if you have your license, you get verified that you have your license, people automatically want to choose you. And then 2, because there are so many bad people on Thumbtack, you can generally make sure that like you always get 5-star reviews, and then all of a sudden Thumbtack is advertising your company on Nextdoor. Thumbtack is a winner. I started like with no work. I found Thumbtack and my work just blew up. Now, that being said, I don't use Thumbtack barely any. 6 months into it, I've got it still, but it's on the minimum. So like with Thumbtack, the important thing is that you're not simply like treating customers like products. So like you just get a customer. No. Like you want to win these customers for life. You want to act as if this customer came through referral from your mom or something, like somebody that you really care about, and you want to make sure you do the best job so that they'll call you back and they'll refer you to others. That's how you got to treat Thumbtack. If you treat them like a product, then it ain't gonna work. You know, you'll get a lot of work initially, but then you'll always be paying for leads, and ideally you're not paying for leads. Okay, so reviews. You need to set up your Google My Business. That's a main source of reviews. Google is, everybody's on Google, so it takes a little bit of time. But another thing, you need to set up your LLC. I would recommend doing an LLC. A single member LLC is pretty easy. I just did taxes. They're gonna give you 15%. It's just basically you're a sole proprietor. So set that up. It doesn't take long, but anytime you go through the government websites, it's a pain. And then register your business with Google My Business. You got to take a little video. It takes 2 weeks, but set it up. You got to get reviews, get some good photos on there. Every single job. Now, I'm not good at this, but this is what I was told, and I think it's pretty true. Every single job, at the end of the job, you should ask the person, did they have a 5-star experience? If they say no, then ask them, what did I do wrong? Can I fix it? If they say yes, say, would you take a moment to write me a review on Google? There's a link on my invoice or my receipt. Or you can say, write me a review on Nextdoor. I've gotten a lot of work that way. And then if they came through Thumbtack, then you can ask them for a review on Thumbtack. Thumbtack's kind of at the bottom of the list just because, again, you want to get away from Thumbtack and Angie's List, ideally, or at least I do. I don't want to pay for my leads forever. So yeah, those are just some basic things. Other stuff, you need to obviously have your tools. And yeah, I mean, I haven't hired anybody. I've had a helper like 2 or 3 days. Been at it 6 months. So far, so good. If you're thinking about it, stick with me a little bit. I'll do some more videos on like some more specific stuff, but this is just kind of a flyover today to just say, if you're thinking about it and you've got all those marks, like you check all the boxes, and you think you can check all the boxes, don't quit overnight, but put your 2 weeks in, talk to the guys you're working for, and just take a chance. I mean, like, the hardest thing is to just like get started. So I thought for like over a year about starting my company, and I had all these ideas about how things were going to work, and some of them were good, but like a lot of it is like you learn it when you take hold of like a new project. So like you can't really know how to address the challenges until you're actually doing it, and the hardest step is the first step. So make sure you're good and prepared. You don't want to fail. Especially if you're kind of in a similar situation as me and you've got a family. You can't fail. So you do want to make sure you have some money saved up, and make sure you have some of those things ready. And then just pray about it, and then just take a step. And for me, it's worked out. Like I said, I'll make some more videos about some more specific things, but in the meantime, just consider some of these things. I'm not saying that I'm the only source. There's a lot of other better people out there, but for a 30-year-old in Atlanta, Georgia, this has been my experience. A service electrician, basically smaller type jobs. I'll do a service once in a while. I'll do a lot of panels, but yeah, this has been what's happened to me. So think about it and take a chance. If you want to do it, do it. If you got everything ready, do it. If you don't, start getting ready so that you can do it, you know. Okay.